I'm Matt Cortray. I'm the applications engineer with the Nods company, and I'm going to show you a little bit about the features and specifications of the Robotiq Palletizer, as well as how to make a simple program with it. So it comes, the Palletizer comes with the 7th linear axis as well as the base. So I'm going to dive into a couple of the features on here. So I'm standing at what is the front of the robot right now. So this would be the front side, this is the left side, this is the right side. In the front, you have the Palletizer control box. So this is powered by standard 120 volt wall power, and it actually powers the UR control box as well. So you'll just run a cord between the two control boxes, and once you turn on the Palletizer control box, you can turn on the UR control box as well. Now, the teach pendant is back here as well, as you can see. This can be moved. So going along on the linear axis, on the back of the linear axis, you have the robot arm. So we have a UR10 attached to here, and then up at the top of the linear axis is the signal lights. So they will glow a different color depending on what you're doing. Okay, so down at the bottom of the base, we have 2 pallets. The Palletizer can do 2 pallets at a time. Our pallets are just standard pallet sizes, but the pallet sizes vary. You can use different sized pallets. There are 2 pallet sensors on each side, ensuring that a pallet is in the correct position, so the program won't run unless these sensors are tripped. On our conveyor, we have a box sensor, and that's sensing whenever a box is present, and it'll have the robot arm go and pick up the box and begin the palletizing. On the robot arm, we have some wire management, and this comes with the palletizing solution, which is very nice. And the palletizing solution also comes with the Robotiq AirPick end effector. A good vacuum end effector that'll get the job done for a lot of different box sizes. So we have our air line running to the bottom of the base, and then up through the axis to the arm, and then to the end effector. So the palletizing solution also comes with the material handling copilot, and this is the software necessary to run the palletizing node, and it has all the programming in it. So you'll see when I do the programming, it's very simple to get a quick palletizing solution. You know, it's probably only going to take me maybe 15 or 20 minutes to do an entire program, and then we'll be able to get these boxes on the pallet. So I'm going to get to it. You should be able to see everything that I see on the screen. Okay. So now you should be able to see everything I'm doing in real time. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn the robot on. So we'll boot the robot up. All right, so now that it's booted, we're going to want to turn on the 7th axis. So to get there, we'll go to the installation tab, UR caps, and then copilot, and we'll navigate over to linear axis, and we'll start it. And as you can see, the lights went from yellow, signifying that the brake was on, to now they're like a light blue white color, which means that we're standing by. So then you're going to also want to ensure that your TCP and payload and center of gravity settings are correct. I've already put these in, but universal robots include a very nifty wizard feature that'll allow you to determine your TCP and center of gravity pretty quickly. And they could also be found on the AirPick. You can find the AirPicks in the AirPick manual, the TCP as well. So the next step is to add a palletizing node. So we'll add the Palletizer node out of UR caps. Sometimes takes a second to load. There we go. And as you can see, the whole setup of the Palletizer is on the screen in front of you. So front of the robot where I'm standing, the left side, the right side, and then the grip zone where our conveyor is. So we'll go ahead and start. The first thing I'm going to do is go into the settings, and I'm going to switch the units from metric to imperial just because we know the imperial weight and dimensions of our box and pallets, so a little bit easier for us, but if you have metric boxes, go ahead with metric. So we'll select the box submenu out of here, and as you can see, there's 4 easy menus to go through, and it's very self-explanatory. You just follow the prompts and make sure to fill out everything on the screen, and you'll have a working palletizer program. So we'll edit the box dimensions. You can see that the long dimension is the A side, the short side would be B, and then the height would be the C. So our long side, it happens to be 24¼ inches, our B side is 12¼ and our C side is 12½, or our height. And our box payload is 5 pounds. Palletizer can do up to 17½ pounds, and the minimum box size is 2 by 2 by 2 inches. So the next step will be to set a grip position. So you'll just click set grip position, and then you will put the robot in the position that you want it to be in order to do the pick. So you want that to be somewhere on the center of the box where it's going to make good contact and be able to pick it up. So I'm just going to drive it down. That looks pretty good, so we're going to go with that. And you can hit home, and you're done with the box tab. If for whatever reason you ever need to drive back to the pick position, say you wanted to edit it or something, you would just click on move here robot and move here linear axis until the robot gets in the correct position. The next step is editing the pallet. So our pallet is just a standard 40 by 50 by 4½. And selecting these boxes will allow you to add a pallet on the left side, the right side, or if you select them both sides. So we have it on both sides, so that's what we will be doing. Okay. Then the next step is to edit the pattern. So you can have up to 2 different patterns, 2 patterns per pallet. And over here, you're able to adjust the number of layers. So in our case, I'm going to do 5 layers. So right now, you can see the current layer sequence is A. I want to change that so it's A. So it's alternating every single layer. So in my case, this is how it will palletize for both sides. So now I can go in and actually create the pattern. So there's this nice visual interface here that allows you to see exactly what's going on. So you can actually physically place the boxes in the positions that you want them in on the pallet. So to add a box, you'll just hit the plus sign. And you can move it around with the arrows, up, down, left, right, and you can rotate it 90 degrees just by pressing that 90-degree rotation button in the middle. Now this movement step, it determines how quickly the box will move when you hit those arrows. I'm just going to set it to 0.2 inches in my case. So then we can go ahead and do a simple pattern. So I'm just going to do a little 6-box pattern. And as you can see, I can have different rotation within the same layer on the pallet. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go with that. I'll just hit the home button, and that saved the A pattern for me. So now I'll go in and do the B pattern, and I'm just going to do the opposite of what we did before. The nice thing about this interface is the boxes will glow red if they're invalid, so you don't have to do trial and error to see if it's going to work. You could just tell right here if it's going to be a good pattern or if it's going to be a bad pattern. So if everything is blue, that means all is good. And if you ever need to edit where a box is after you place it or remove a box, all you got to do is you have to click on the box in question, and then you could either move it around or rotate it or delete it by hitting that minus button. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit the home button, and I get back out of the pattern configurator, and we're all set. So I'm going to go into settings. So in settings, you can play around with the tool speed, the tool acceleration, and you have the ability to adjust this both with the box and without the box. So I'm going to lower my tool speed to 500 with the box just to ensure a good pick and place. You can also change the input of where the sensor is. So ours is plugged into digital input 0, so I'm going to keep it there. Okay, and there's only 2 more steps now. So in the grip node, we're going to add a vacuum grip command, and in the release node, we're going to add a vacuum release command. Now, you can add commands before the pallet is executed. You can add commands between pallet layers. So this, if you wanted to add a slip sheet, this is where you would do that. And you can also add commands after the pallet has been executed. If you want to move the robot to a certain location after it's done, you can go ahead and do that there. So now that we've done the program, I'm just going to show it running. So what we'll have to do is we'll hit start, play from beginning, and this nifty little tool pops up. So if you have to stop in the middle, say, you know, you did 8 boxes and then you had to pause for whatever reason, you could just set this in the pallet state and then you can pick up right where you left off. So in our case, I'm going to reset it because we don't have any boxes down. I'm just going to hit OK, and it's going to start palletizing. So as you can see, it's picking up off the conveyor, and then it is planning its own path through space, and it's bringing the box over to the pallet. So the software in the Palletizer makes sure that the path planning, that's not going to hit any other boxes, or it's not going to hit the 7th axis, not going to hit the robot arm, so it will avoid all of those obstacles. As long as you program it. So now we've completed the A layer. Now it's going to switch over to the B layer, and it knows to place higher, and it knows to switch to that different layer that we want. So we'll let it run until it completes the pallet. And yeah. So as we're getting close to the end of the pallet, you can see the linear axis is really moving pretty high to get to these place positions. We're about 5.5 feet above the ground at the top of this. And the palletizer could actually go up as high as 87 inches. So now it's placed its last box. The indicator light is flashing blue, which signifies that we have completed our pallet. So from here, we could either load in a new pallet or we could switch to the other side, but in our case, we're done. So thanks for watching.